Hey plant friends, so if you are thinking of building Polytunnel and you have seen the Amazon, the cheaper tunnels available on Amazon, that is what I have gone for here. It is a VNOT. You may have seen the reviews, they are not great, but this video is going to show you step by step how I made it into a more robust tunnel. Like, this isn't going anywhere. This is just what I have done. And yeah, I hope you get some benefit from it. When thinking about where I wanted to place my tunnel, I chose the area of my garden which gets the most amount of sun for most of the year. So in the winter months, I would still get some sun. To ensure we had enough space for the build, we marked the area out with string, making sure that enough of a gap was left between the fence and the tunnel so we could work. There are 3 different sizes of this tunnel, and the one I chose was the 3 meter long by the 2 meter wide, but I bought 2 of them and I've placed them end to end, making my total polytunnel dimensions 6 meters long by 2 meters wide. This gives me a good sized tunnel for my size of garden, and we were reasonably accurate when marking out the dimensions, but we didn't have to get them exactly right, as you'll see we square it off later in the video when the frame goes on. The camera angle doesn't really show the slope at the back corner where the fence meets the wall. However, we needed to dig down to ensure the timber base didn't sit at an angle and have the entire tunnel sit at too much of a slope. I had a choice, and that was to raise the front up, and that's the part closest to the camera, or dig down at the back. And as you can see, I chose to dig down at the back with some help from my 3-year-old daughter. But the main thing was that the area where the timber was being placed was reasonably level. My plan for this was to attach the metal polytunnel frame onto the wooden base frame, and this was made up of 6" by 2" timber lengths. This ensured that the base frame was heavy enough to hold down the entire tunnel when it gets windy, and this also added a little bit of extra height as the tunnel is only 200 centimeters at its highest point. It took a little while to get these timber frames sitting exactly right. We dug channels for them to sit in and played about with them while keeping the overall measurements while we went along. With the 6 by 2 meter timber in place, we took the slope to a point where it wasn't noticeable. This is what the timber frame looked like whenever it was completed. It isn't perfect, but it took out enough of the slope so that the tunnel doesn't sit at an angle on the ground. We then double checked that the metal frame of the polytunnel sat on the base frame correctly, which it did. The next job was to fill in the hardcore base. When thinking about what you want to use your polytunnel for, you may not actually need to put in any hardcore at all, so you may be able to completely skip this step. For me, I didn't want to put any of my plants directly into the ground. I wanted a firm base to stand on instead. Putting in the builder stone was one of the easiest parts of the build. It was just repetitive wheeling the stones from the front of the house to where I actually decided to build. We then compacted the stone to give a good firm walking area. This is whenever the tunnel really started to come together for me. The next stage was adding in the sand, which was where I intended excess water to drain off to after watering my plants. Again, this got compacted a few times and I was really pleased with the outcome. I'm not a landscaper, so this wasn't completely level, but it gave me enough of a flat area to lay my weed barrier and my paving blocks. The next stage was to actually construct the tunnel and attach it to the base. The tunnel comes neatly packed in a box, or in my case 2 boxes, as I was using 2 tunnels. The instructions were easy to follow and the overall construction was simple enough. It was just numbered tubes which all connected together with bolts. The manufacturer was kind enough to provide a spanner and an Allen key to tighten the bolts, but I found it quicker just to use my impact gun. A downside of this tunnel is the grade of the steel. The diameter of the tubes themselves are narrow and the steel isn't thick at all, giving the frame a really weak feel. I guess you get what you pay for. Once all the individual pieces are put together, it does feel sturdier, but I really wouldn't want to be putting significant weight on any single point of it. However, this tunnel was built a few months before uploading this video, and it has already survived 2 of the storms we got here in April in the UK, so it's already stood up to 30 to 40 mile/hour winds, and I'm happy with how it performed. To attach the metal frames to the base, I simply used saddle clips, sometimes called U-clips. This gave me a secure fitting to the base, which I was happy wasn't moving anywhere. Adding timber door frames is essential for enhancing the stability of this tunnel. While the heavy base ensures it stays anchored, the door frames at each end prevent it from rocking from side to side in strong winds. I used 2x4 timber on the door frames and secured them with metal plates to both the base and the tunnel's metal frame. Since I connected two tunnels end to end, I also reinforced the middle section where weak points could allow gusts of wind to bend the frame. Overall, the addition of the door frames made the most significant difference between the standard kit and creating a robust, durable tunnel. This UV protected cover I used isn't included in the kit. According to Amazon reviews, the green kit cover often starts to break down within a year, so I wanted something more durable. These covers are also available on Amazon and I purchased mine for £100. I bought extra material in case my measurements were off. It's important to calculate the tunnel's height when buying a separate cover. For this 6 meter long tunnel, you'll need an additional length to cover both ends. I opted for an 11 meter cover just to be safe. This made installation a little bit more challenging, but I'm generally pleased with the result. The cover is very tight at the top and at the sides, although a little bit loose at the bottom where it attaches to the base. Attaching the cover to the frame was straightforward. I recommend doing this on a warm day and letting the cover sit on top for a few hours to make it easier to stretch. Start by securing it to the horizontal part of the door frame, then work your way around. Initially, it may not seem very tight, but as you continue, it will tighten up, adding extra stability to your tunnel. Once the cover was secure, I began working on the interior. Using a staple gun, I attached a weed barrier along each side and created a path down the middle with paving blocks. Having compacted the sand, I was able to install staging shelves along the entire length of both sides. In conclusion, after 3 months of using this tunnel, I can confidently say it has transformed the way I grow plants. Being able to work in the garden without getting soaked in the rain is incredible. I've also been amazed at the accelerated growth of my plants. While I'm still learning how to fully utilise the tunnel's potential, I'm extremely pleased with the results so far. Overall, I spent £65 in each tunnel, £300 in timber and other materials, and £100 on the cover, bringing the total cost to around £500. Although other kit tunnels are available for around this price, they are much smaller and less customizable. I created this video to demonstrate how a few modifications can significantly enhance the durability and functionality of these tunnels. I hope you find some useful ideas for your own project. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for upcoming videos on installing the staging shelves, building a propagation box for the back corner, and constructing the doors. If you're interested in following my progress with growing in this tunnel, then don't forget to like and subscribe.